Hey everyone, it's Jake Pentland. I just wanted to drop in for a couple seconds before this episode starts and update you on a few things. I got to do it quick because I don't want you to miss this episode. It's a great one. We have Flat Earth Dave, and yes, we are doing a Flat Earth episode. Me and my mom are not flat earthers, but we believe that everybody has a right to be listened to and talked to, and he is a great guest. And I'll be honest with you, I feel very different after listening to him than I do before. I won't say I'm a flat earther or anything like that, but I highly suggest you just listen and keep an open mind. It's going to be a fun one. It'll also be low in ads. I know we've done a lot of ads lately. I'm going to knock them out now, just two, and you can enjoy it pretty much ad-free after that. But the real reason I'm here is to tell you that everything's fine. My mother is starting a treatment that's making her very, very tired. Again, she's fine, but I am in a doctor's office. And the reason I'm telling you this is because we did not get to do the episode we wanted to do this week. We were going to do Flat Earth next week because of all the big news with the debate and the Supreme Court rulings. We really wanted to get to you, but my mom is just not up to it. We will be here next week to talk. It'll just be me and my mom. We'll be talking about the debates and the Supreme Court rulings, and it's going to be great. So this week, 4th of July with your family, enjoy Flat Earth. Take your mind off. We got a long road till the election, so tune in, tune out, drop out, whatever you want to say, and enjoy this episode. So with that said, I'm just going to knock out a couple ads so you can enjoy it. I never get to do the ads, so I'm a little excited because I think I'm probably going to be really good at it. So this episode is brought to you by TWC. We've done ads for them a million times. You know, they do the contagion kit and the emergency medical kit. We love them. We know the bird flu, what do you call it? The new vaccine just got approved by Moderna. So they're really going to push that bird flu bullshit. And you want to be prepared because that's probably how they're going to try and steal the election with the mail-in votes like they did last time. So the Wellness Company, which if you don't know what it is, you should if you've listened to this episode, but if you don't, they sell these medical emergency kits. They contain 8 life-saving medications, our favorites like ivermectin, amoxicillin, a Z-Pak. There's a guidebook on how to take it. It's a medical emergency kit. It folds up, you store it in your closet, and if something happens, an outbreak, you don't feel well, you're worried, you'll have the medications you need right there in your kitchen pantry or wherever you keep it safe. Ordering your kit takes less than 2 minutes, and it couldn't be simpler. So you want to go to twc.health/RB and use code RB to purchase your kit. You get $30 off and free shipping. Whether it's the bird flu or monkeypox or COVID, they've got you covered. Cyber attacks, drug shortages, whatever you need, you'll have it in this kit. So again, go to twc.health/RB and use RB at checkout. The other thing I want to remind you to do is rblikesgold.com. We have not been pushing that gold. We've been doing too many ads, and I didn't want to bug you guys with 30 ads a show. I think there's more than enough. So if you really want to support us, we don't make you go to the show. We don't have a Patreon. YouTube has demonetized us. Really, the best way to support us is to click on these ads and buy the product. I mean, I wouldn't force you to do it, but it does help. And if you go to rblikesgold.com, you can buy gold and silver and protect yourself. We already know how important that is. I don't need to sell you on it, but you can also do an IRA kit. If you have an IRA, you can do a rollover. You can move some of your retirement into gold and silver, because I promise you Democrats are not going to go easy. They've seen what's happened in the last week or two, and they're going to start doing some really scary, nasty shit. They're not going to give up their power, and you want medicine and you want currency that they can't control, and gold and silver is the best way to do that. So rblikesgold.com. I highly suggest you go there and purchase whatever limit you want, whether it's one piece of silver or your entire retirement. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I just know it's smart to do it. With that said, enjoy this episode. It is a banger. Thank you.
Oh, you see, my patience is growing thin.
We're going to be talking about Flat Earth, and we have Flat Earth David Weiss as our guest. Hi, Flat Earth Dave. I'm so intrigued by the whole Flat Earth thing.
Yeah, I saw Eddie Bravo on your show, and you had this aha moment, and we clipped it, and it went kind of viral in the truth community. So that's how we ended up together here. Well, before we start, I want to just tell you a quick story about how you got me to take a big step in my truth career.
Oh, cool.
So I had a podcast years ago called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, and before that, I was doing a lot of truth telling and exposing things. And I was at a music festival, walking around with chemtrail signs, pointing out that they're spraying the sky in 2012. And I was into a lot of other things, but I was always afraid to say really what I thought on some political things and whatnot. And then later that evening, you come out on stage. You were on tour. I think you were running for president.
Yeah.
And you made a speech, and you held nothing back. And I stood there and I watched the whole thing, and I'm like, maybe I should just say what's on my mind. And that was a pivot point in my life. That's probably how I ended up here.
That's
Zan.
cool. I
Yeah.
remember that speech. That was with Cynthia McKinney, right?
I'm not sure who it was
On
with, but
chemtrails?
it was no.
Gathering of the Vibes.
You Gathering of the Vibes
Oh,
Music
Gathering of the
Festival
Vibes.
in Bridgeport,
Oh.
Connecticut.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah. And I didn't even know that you were there. All of a sudden you were on stage, and I was like, wow, she really doesn't hold back. And I was like, I'm not going to hold back anymore. So thank you.
That's good. You're welcome. I don't think any of us should hold back as
That-
long as, we're not inciting anything bad or,
Sure.
doing the things that we shouldn't be doing. But when we're putting puzzle pieces together about what they're doing to us in our world, I mean, it is dangerous for sure to tell that kind of truth, but we have to do it. We have to.
Right. I kind of, I 100% have dedicated my life to this message. People that are listening right now, some of you are triggered. Some of you are very happy that I'm here, but I'm assuming there's a lot of people that are triggered. Why are you even talking about this subject? It's ridiculous. And that's what I said. When I first heard about it on I was doing a conspiracy podcast on all of the big events that had happened, and people started sending me flat earth stuff, and I just delete, and then they kept sending it, and they posted things on my Facebook. I'm like, ban for life, ban for life, ban for life. I was like, this is so stupid. But then a good friend, truther, Sophia Smallstorm, who did some truth documentary, she's like, Dave, I think the earth might be flat. And she sent me a couple of videos. I was like, okay, I'm going to debunk these. I didn't go in and say, let me see. I went in with a bad attitude.
Yeah.
And for 2 weeks I tried, and I just kept getting fed more and more and more content. I went out, I tested some things myself. I got a super zoom camera. I zoomed in on things that should be behind 60 feet of curvature or more, and I could see them. So I immediately defaulted to, well, the earth is just bigger. The curvature formula is wrong. And then when I went and verified these things, we can see too far. And then everything else started falling into place. Like water needs to be contained. What the science of water is, water at rest lies flat. And it needs to be contained. A pond, it has a shoreline that's higher than the water, right? Lower some of that shoreline and the water will flow away because it needs to be contained. So the world is like a big pond. All of the oceans of the world, think of it as a pond. All of the continents, think of them as just islands. And what's containing our pond? Well, the highest land on Earth, by more than double the next average height of any continent, is Antarctica. Antarctica is more than double the height of any other continent on average. So Antarctica is the shoreline around our world.
Well, how do you explain when they go up in space and look down and the Earth is a globe?
Yeah. So NASA admits they don't have any photos of Earth. They say they're all put together in composite. The one picture that showed up was called, on everyone's iPhone, when the iPhones came out, was called the Blue Marble. And Robert Simon, who's a NASA visual artist, explained in an interview that he made it all from data, and he used Command Z a lot, and he stamped clouds in there using the same clouds multiple times, and he literally made it in Photoshop, and he admits it. NASA admits they don't have any real photos of Earth other than one that was taken from the moon in 1972 or whatever year it was, and that's called the Blue Marble. I forget what they call that one, but we took that picture that NASA took right off their website. We put it into Photoshop, and we cranked up the levels, and the Earth had a box around it, like it was cut and pasted right in there from NASA's website. Yeah.
Well, why would they want us to believe that it's round?
There we go. We're already there. That's a very good question. That's where we all default to. And we'll get into that more. But the reason they want you to believe you live on a ball is because they're hiding who we truly are. They're hiding more resources. Think about this. Every war, what is that about? Land,
Mhm.
resources, power,
Right.
Ports.
right? What if there's more land? What if they tell us there's 8 or 9 continents or whatever the number is now?
I think
What
it's
if there's
7.
what if there's 80 or 90,000 continents
Hmm.
across the plane beyond Antarctica? There's all now, and here's the thing. There's in the flat Earth community, there's people like, don't talk about more land. You know, you can prove the Earth is flat. We can prove the Earth is flat right here from everything that we can reach and test and measure ourselves. What's beyond Antarctica is speculation, but there's lots of evidence that there's more land beyond the shoreline of Antarctica.
So you're saying that, like, okay, wait a minute. So it's like a pie, and Antarctica is the pie crust?
Well, it's not just the crust. Imagine a lake 100 miles across in the middle of Kansas. Okay. And at the center of that lake is a magnetic mountain, a mountain made from a magnet, just a magnetic mountain. So no matter where you are on that lake, your compass will point to the middle of the lake. You with me?
Mhm.
So south is every direction away from the middle. So south, if this is the middle, south is that way, and south is that way, and south is that way, because the compass will always be pointing towards the middle. East and west are circles around the middle. East and west are circles. This is the Gleason's map that used to be in all of the textbooks and encyclopedias and libraries, and they removed it,
Mhm.
right? So if you go east and west, you can go right all the way around, maintaining your east or west direction, and then end up right back where you started from,
Mhm.
right? If you walked around your neighborhood, does that make your neighborhood a sphere? No, you're just walking around it. If the center of your neighborhood was the North Pole, the compass would point to the north.
Right. No, it makes sense. But what compass are you talking about? Any compass will do this?
Any compass. A compass points a compass points
Points
towards a
north.
magnetic force coming out of our north. If you got a table, get like a nice strong neodymium magnet, put it on a table, draw a big circle around it, and put a compass near it. That's going to take over. It's going to be stronger than the magnetic
Right.
pole, and your compass will point towards that. And try to push that compass west. You're going to have to keep turning to maintain a west heading, because if you go straight, you're going to be going away from that magnet, and the north will be that way, and the
because it's
south.
on a different plane. That makes
Yeah,
it
you're
makes
just
sense.
going to go. You're just going to go straight.
But I'd like to spend, before we get into why are they doing it, I'd like to spend more time in your research, because I find this,
Sure.
because I just to be clear, I think you're probably a little bit more open minded than I am. I'm like you were when you started. I don't believe in flat Earth. We had Eddie Bravo on.
Yep.
I love Eddie. It was a great episode, but he's the one that gave me your number. We've been trying to book this for a long time, but I think flat Earth is absolutely crazy. So I would like, I have a bunch of questions. I know you've
I
gone on
think
a lot.
most people do.
No, most
Well-
people think it's crazy. So I would like you to actually convince me as a crazy skeptic with
Sure.
with some real info, because most people watching.
But I mean,
assume,
this whole thing
are
about
like me.
Antarctica is so intriguing to me, because I know about Project High Jump and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, so
I know it's like we're not supposed to know about Antarctica.
Admiral Byrd did Project High Jump, the high land that's containing our waters, and in the 1940s and 50s, and he said he found more land bigger than the United States on the other side of the South Pole. Well, that would be, from where he went from, that would be like near Australia or Africa. You think they would notice a continent the size of the United States? And he said there's also warmer lands there, which doesn't make any sense. And then he announced that on a national news show, and 6 months later he died suddenly in his sleep
Right.
somehow.
Yeah.
So when you say most people think the Earth is flat, this is a heat map of my app, the Flat Earth Clock app,
Show
and
this
these are
camera.
just the people. These are just the people that have my app, which is less than 1% of flat earthers.
That's scary. That's like the Megan's Law website with the. I don't like to see that many people. There's that many
Right.
people that are on your app.
This is the UK.
Wow,
Right?
that's
and so
impressive. Wow.
they're everywhere. There's over 180,000, 185,000 now that are on the app. And that's way less than 1% of the flat earthers out there. Because once you discover this, once you take the time to see the truth, several things will happen. One, you'll never forget it. Two, you'll wonder how you ever believed in the ball. I was a diehard globalist, right? Everything globe. And we'll get more into why the lie, but it's about controlling you. Like if you don't know that there's more resources, if you don't know that there's more land, if you don't know that you're at the center of creation, you don't know who you are, you can easily be controlled by the government. Govern, control, ment is
Mhm.
the mind,
Right.
right?
So the teaching of the Earth is round. I watched a little bit on you. You're saying that's a relatively new
So in
teaching.
20,
Like
in
100
tw-
years ago, apparently,
well,
everybody. You said back in the days they used to teach everybody believe flat Earth, like to the 1800s, early 1900s.
yeah. So
So
I ended
Christopher Columbus, didn't he prove that it was round?
That's a
by
good
going
question.
by sailing over the ocean and everything.
Well, by looking at an orange and seeing that's
So
what we were
that's
taught.
these
what I
are
was taught.
stories told to us by the victors, right? The
Right.
controllers. So these are just stories. I never met Christopher Columbus. I don't even know if he existed. And a lot of these characters from our past, like Eratosthenes, 2,000 years ago in Greece, he did a sticks and shadows experiment, and they pushed that through everybody. Carl Sagan pushed it in the Cosmos series, and it's in school books, and that is like one of the top proofs that kids are taught that the Earth is a globe with the sticks and shadows experiment. And they say it could only happen on a globe, but it actually, in the flat Earth model, it works perfectly. In the flat Earth model, the sun is small and close, right? We don't know what the sun is; it's just in the sky. It's small and close. So get 2 beer bottles on a desk, and then hold a light over one of them. There'll be no shadow, and the other one will have a shadow. You
Right.
can use the same math that Eratosthenes did to figure out the sphericity of your table, which is flat.
So just to explain the shadows and rods, if you have a curve of the Earth and you put up dominoes, right, and you shine
Mhm.
this, the ones that are on the curve would have a longer shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they prove the Earth is round, because look over here, it's casting a longer shadow because the sun's up there, where like a sundial directly at noon, there's no shadow,
Right.
proving the
Th-
Earth is round.
This,
It
this
looks like
is
this.
and Eratosthenes assumed that all sun rays come in parallel from a distant sun, which causes multiple problems because
Mhm.
no one has ever seen parallel sun rays. Go out when the sun is out and the clouds are like broken up, and look at the rays. They come out crepuscular. They spread out, right? But on a flat Earth with a small local sun, you can get the same results as on a ball. But they don't teach you that in school. They teach you that it's the only answer is a ball.
That makes
So-
sense. So just in case, I'm sure you understand, but if our listeners don't, if it's a small sun closer
Small
to the
sun
Earth,
and close.
then the angle of the shadow would still work on a flat Earth
Right.
model. But if it is the big sun that's 9 million times bigger than us, or whatever the math is, that would not work because it would be so massive it would
Well,
only work
they
on
say
a curve.
that the sun is so big and it's so far away, 93 million miles,
Right.
that the rays come in essentially parallel. But no one has ever seen parallel rays. And back at the time of Eratosthenes, they believed in a geocentric Earth, whether flat or globe, I don't care. They believed that the sun went around the Earth. How do you have a 93 million mile away giant sun circling a tiny little Earth?
Yeah, it
Right.
doesn't make sense.
So they literally get their stories are crisscrossing. They make absolutely no sense, and people just short circuit. They're like, I just want to get an A on the test. I just want to.
well,
want to get that
if
right.
the sun is large and we are going around it, that math works.
And when
Are
someone
we circling the sun?
no, the sun circles us.
What?
this is why I love flat Earth theory. He's
So-
so
The sun
convinced.
circles us.
Yeah, so I'm just on. This is
So
going super fast.
we don't move.
Do you feel like you're moving? You might, but
No, I never do. And
Yeah.
I always wonder that if we're supposed to be spinning at something like 365,000 miles
I
per
think it's
second,
27,000.
how come nobody's hair is moving?
Inertia,
Or,
Newton's
Right. Well, they
second
say
law.
because the air is velcroed to the Earth by gravity.
Yeah.
And the air is spinning, and because the Earth is this is the official story. Because the Earth has been spinning so long, the friction of the mountains and the topographical of the surface of the Earth has made all of the air spin with us.
Mhm.
But a summer breeze can blow left and right and up
Right.
and down. Right. The sun goes around.
Your YouTube.
it went away.
sorry.
And not to be a
Oops.
nerd, but
The sun circles us, so the whole solar system is wrong.
if you're a
What
flat
about
earther,
the other planets?
Well, let's go there in a
we're
second.
working
But the
through it.
sun goes around,
I love this shit.
and wherever the sun is, it's noon.
Okay.
And so the sun is a small local light. Now, a lot of globe anti-flat earthers and even some flat earthers will say the sun's 3,000 miles high and 30 miles wide. That works, but it could be 1,500 miles wide and 15 miles wide, or it could be 7,500 miles high and 7 7.5 miles wide. Scaling invariance, we don't know. I'm making no claims on what the sun is, where it is, other than it's a local light, which we can prove by its rays. Go out on a moonlit night when there's scattered clouds, and you'll see that the moon is only lighting the clouds that are right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
If it was 250,000 miles away, it should light up all of them. What's the question you just asked? You asked me a question. The other planets.
Yeah, because we can see stars moving in the sky, and we can track Mars and Jupiter and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
So
if there's no solar system, there's no planets.
right
rotating.
when you look at planets, I want to keep this really simple. There's a thing called the inverse square law. Oh, the math, people freak out. It's very easy. When you have an object and it's a certain size, move it farther or move it twice the distance away and it'll be a quarter of the size.
Right.
Okay. And it's the same with the brightness. If I have something that's 4 lumens here, I double it, it's 1 lumen.
Right.
Right. It's a quarter. And it's the same as you get closer. When you go out at night and look at I like looking at Jupiter because it's the brightest star.
Right.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
It's brighter than any other star, right? It's as bright as the sun, but it's just very small. So Jupiter, they tell us, is a gassy planet, and it's 4 times farther away from the sun than we are. So if our giant sun was right next to us, it would fill the whole sky, right? Mm-hmm. We move it 93 million miles away, and it's the size of a coin held at arm's length, right? That's how we see the sun. Mm-hmm. If we doubled that distance, it would be like the size of an eraser, like the end of an eraser. And if we doubled it again, so now it's 4 times farther, it would be pretty small. It would be very small. Mm-hmm. So if you were on Jupiter, that sun is literally like a large star at best. And you have to believe that distant sun is lighting up Jupiter. That light is reflecting off of the gassy surface, which isn't very reflective, all the way back to your eye, 400 million miles away, and we see it as bright as the sun. Mm-hmm. You're seeing a light in the sky named after a god. That's all I can say.
Let me ask you this. Because I'm not an astronomer, what would an astronomer say to your claim here? Would he blow it out of the water, or would he just change the subject?
Watch what steak does to your gut.
The carnivore diet. Why do people lose weight so rapidly?
Protein. Would he blow it out of the water, or would he just change the subject?
And former NASA engineer from Houston just destroyed the billion-dollar AC industry by building a device that cools down any
1% of the flat earthers out there. Because you asked me a question, light in the sky, named after a god. That's all I can say.
Let me ask you this. What would, because I'm not an astronomer, what would an astronomer say to your claim here? Would he blow it out of the water, or he just change the subject?